We get our value from hard work, and I mean this in a real way. Most of the good feelings we have, especially the ones that make us excited, come from working towards a goal. In a way, you want a goal that you can never fully reach. This way, you can always get closer to a goal that moves away as you try to reach it. You might think, well, that sounds annoying, like Sisyphus pushing a rock up a hill. But it's not, because as you chase that goal, you improve yourself, and your life becomes better and fuller. That's why the best goals and values are beyond what you are doing now, so you can always aim for something more amazing and better. That's who you are. You're here to live, not just to exist. The issue with my dream of relaxing on the beach is that, first, it's a fantasy from being out of touch with reality. Second, it will only feel good for a short time. Third, in a month, you might feel silly and lost. That's not what you want. You want a future full of chances and growth. Some people get stuck on reaching a big goal. They think, now I've achieved it. What's next? The answer can't be just to enjoy luxury and do nothing. Do you want to be a grown-up baby with a fancy bottle, lying around doing nothing? That's a big problem with that idea. Instead, you want to be an active fighter, moving forward with purpose. That's what makes life exciting. The people you are comparing yourself to aren't really known to you. This means you see their nice surface, but you don't see their real life. There are always people who are doing much better than you in almost everything you can think of. If you only see yourself in their bright light, it will make you feel pretty bad. It's not a good idea to compare yourself to others. First, everyone is different, and you don't know what challenges they have faced to get where they are or what problems they might have now. Instead, you should compare yourself to yourself, which is much better. This is the only true way to see if you are improving. You can notice when you are a bit better than you were yesterday. The cool thing is that you can work on making yourself better in some way almost every day. Just be careful who you tell your good news to. Share it with people who will be truly happy for you. Be careful about who you tell bad news to, as that can be difficult. You want someone who will listen when you're upset and let you feel sad. I would say beauty helps people reach their best selves. Getting close to beauty means carefully exploring one of life's mysteries that makes it special. There has never been a better time for most people to be alive. The future might seem scary, and bad things can happen, but it's hard to argue that the future looks better overall. We are getting very good with technology, and the world is changing fast. The only way to handle this positively is if as many of us as possible make wise, careful, and honest choices. If we do that, things might keep getting better. You can help people to be independent and take charge if you give them everything. And that's a real puzzle. You might be in California and see someone driving fast in a fancy Porsche, thinking, wow, they're so lucky. But the truth is, that person might be worried about crashing their expensive car into the next concrete pole they pass. You can't know for sure. Many people have tough lives, and even those who seem lucky still face challenges. The idea you see that makes you feel jealous is mostly a trick of your own mind. You need to be careful about what you envy because you don't really know the whole story. Another helpful thing is to realize you are very different from others, and you shouldn't compare yourself to them because they aren't like you. They don't have your family. They don't have your personality. They don't have your problems. They don't have your skills. The only person who has those is you. One of the rules, I think it's rule 4, is to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. That's a game you can win. The chance to make yourself a little better every day is something everyone can do. I think that's like living a good life, and being good and honest is important. I've also noticed that very successful people try hard to live truthfully. You can go far by being honest. It's also important to know that people are different in how smart they are. If you take a job and you're not smart enough for it, you will have a really tough time. You will make life hard for those around you because you won't be able to manage the job. But what you should really do, if you want to have the best chance for success and happiness, is find a job where your skills put you in the top 25. That's ideal. Then you're a big fish in a small pond. You don't want to be the least smart person in the room. That's a tough place to be. And you probably don't want to be the smartest person in the room either, because that likely means you should be somewhere else. If you want to be the best at what you do, then having an IQ above 145 is a must. Maybe you're close to 160 in some cases. That might make you 1 in 10,000 or even 1 in 100,000. To be really good at it, you likely need to handle stress well and be somewhat responsible. Why do smart people often lead? Part of the answer is they get there first. Life is like a race, and if you're faster, you're more likely to be ahead. Intelligence is mostly about speed, though not only that. If you're quickly moving toward a tough goal, the faster people will reach it first. You need to work hard and be driven to do that. So, where does motivation come from? You can think of it in terms of the big 5 traits. If you're outgoing, you want friends. If you're kind, you want close relationships. If you're competitive, you want to win. If you're open-minded, you want to be creative. If you have high neuroticism, you seek safety. So, these are all ways to find motivation that you can adjust to fit your own, your own personality. There are parts of your life that you should think about. So we asked people what they would want in 3 to 5 years if they were taking care of themselves. What do you want from your friends? What do you want from your close relationship? How would you like to set up your family? What do you want for your job? How will you spend your time when you are not working? How will you take care of your mental and physical health and maybe also your drug and alcohol use? This is important because it connects to your reward system. We talked about how the reward system helps you keep going, and it works better when you feel good about moving toward a goal you value. So, it's important to have a goal you care about, or you won't feel motivated. Many creative people struggle to make their ideas work and make money from them. If you are a creative person, you might often fail. This is because it is hard to create something new and present it at the right time. Marketing it can be tough too. Successful business people try again and again, and if they are lucky, one of their ideas will succeed at the right moment. Even if your idea is good, it may not work out because there are many factors to consider. This is why being persistent, which is part of being responsible, is so helpful. Persistence allows you to try many different things. You need to understand that starting point is failure. It's important because otherwise you might blame yourself. Some of that blame can help since there are things you can improve about yourself. But it's hard to go from nothing to something, When you go to university, you should learn to think and make arguments. You should learn to think, talk, and write. That's what the humanities are for. They help you become strong, right? Because if you can think and talk and write well, you're powerful. In a complex job, you are exactly what is needed. There's nothing better you can do to become more powerful than to get better at language. You do this by reading, especially great works, and by writing, and by thinking, and by talking too. But how could that not be seen as central to what education is for? Do you want to be unable to speak clearly and struggle with everything you try to say? How will you get anywhere like that? You might not even know who you are in that state. This big feeling inside you might show itself in bad ways because you can't find the right words. You fumble around, bump into things, and you seem awkward and dull, not clever or bright. Now think about a seal that has everything but good writing skills. What happens to him compared to someone who can write well? If he can't write properly and he leads 6 people, and one of them works hard or does something good, it's his job to write that person an award. So, He can't give his good workers or soldiers. This makes you smart and convincing, allowing you to do anything you want without anyone stopping you. People don't often talk about this, and I don't get why. You hear the saying, "The pen is mightier than the sword," but it only makes sense if you think about it. There's a book called About Face. It's about a man named Colonel David Hackworth, who fought in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. When I was deployed, I would pick up that book and read 2 or 3 pages before bed. It had many lessons that related to what I was experiencing, and a clear example is that when you read, you can learn without having to face tough times yourself. You don't need to keep getting hurt by things that others have already faced. Just seeing something once makes you much better at handling it. If I see something one time, I'm way better than if I'd never seen it. It's like those little puzzles. They give you a tricky puzzle, right? The tricky ones only work on you once. Once you know the answer, you won't be fooled again. So just seeing it once, makes you much better. When you read a lot, you learn all these lessons. Of course, you want to take in that knowledge. You want to become that person. That can really shake things up for you. It's amazing when you read about people who think in ways you've never thought before. I love reading for this reason. I can choose my friends from books, which I really enjoy. I have my friends around me, but there are also people who lived before me in different places. I can put their books on my shelf and step into their worlds. I can learn from everything they thought and really connect with them. It can be surprising, especially if the writer has a better and more developed mind than mine. It was surprising, but also incredibly helpful to explore other people's ideas. You get to learn from their whole life through their book. For example, I read a book called The Neuropsychology of Anxiety, which is a great scientific book. It's a tough read, and I think it has around 1,800 references or so. This guy, Jeffrey Gray, really read all those sources and got them. It took me 6 months to read the book, but I learned so much from it. In those 6 months, I got to go through what took him 30 years to learn. That's a real gift. It's amazing. What were you reading in college? Was it stories, novels? Was it true stories? As simple as it sounds, the biggest impact came from Shakespeare. It affected me in many ways. I'll share the main reason. When I talked about Shakespeare on my podcast, I told people this. Many think, well, I didn't really get it. I read it and didn't understand it. If you think you can just pick up Shakespeare, open it, and get it, you won't. It's hardly written in English. It's almost like another language. What you need to do is start to understand it. I found that with Shakespeare, first, the power of the words. These words held so much meaning that you had to look closely at them and break them down to see the depth of each word. Then, the way they are put together is important. What was great was that when I returned, I went back to the SEAL teams, and someone would give me a rules of engagement paper written by a lawyer in Washington, D.C. I would take it out and say, wait a minute, I don't understand this word. Let's break it down. Let's look at what this word really means and how it changes how I see these rules of engagement. How can I explain that to my troops so they know what to do? For me, this started when I began reading Shakespeare. I realized that if you don't get something, it's okay. You just grab the Oxford English Dictionary and look it up. You not only find the meaning of the word, but also its root and where it comes from. That adds a lot of depth, and it's really helpful. Almost every word is like this because a word is an old object. It's like a living thing in a way. It has a history and changes over time. Each word also carries hints of its past because every word connects with other words in a special way. Words exist in a world of their own. This world holds the history of each word. You might wonder why this matters. Well, you think in words and speak in words. You have these old words that you use. The more you learn about them, the more you learn about yourself and others. This helps you share your thoughts better. There's nothing to lose from exploring this, only things to gain. How did I manage marriage, being a dad, and a busy job? I stopped wasting time. That made a big difference. I cut out drinking. I stopped going to bars. I didn't spend much time with friends when my kids were young. I had friends and saw them now and then, but I focused more on family over social life. I spent a lot of time with my wife, my kids, and my job. You have to make choices in life. I think those were good choices, and I'm happy with them. Don't forget your friends, but look for ways you might be wasting time and stop those things. I did that. If you want to stop drinking, you need something better than alcohol. Alcohol is nice, so you need to find something even better. It's true that good people do good things. You should find something in your life that makes you want to stay sober and not mess up. I focused on my marriage and made time for it. I made sure to spend time with my kids and worked on growing my career. Those were the 3 main parts of my life. I also had some time for creative hobbies and friends, but most of it was about cutting out time wasters, you know? I just removed those from my life, day after day, until I hardly wasted any time. I often ask my students how much time they think they waste each day, and they usually say around 6 to 8 hours. That's like a whole job, right? So if you stop wasting time, you can achieve a lot, especially if you also focus on being efficient. I always found that really exciting, you know, a fun challenge. How much can I do in the shortest time? I enjoy trying to do that. If you're getting your life in order and your friends don't support you, those aren't real friends. They're just people you know. They're not friends because a friend is someone you can trust. Here are 2 signs of a friend. A friend is someone you can share bad news with, and they won't call you names or try to make you feel worse. They will just listen and maybe feel sad with you. You can tell them your bad news, and they won't bring up their own problems. They will listen and share your pain. But a friend is also someone you can share good news with. A friend will say, "Wow, in this tough life, something nice happened to you. That's great. It's special and unexpected. Good for you. I hope more good things come your way." They won't feel jealous or try to outdo you. If you're trying to improve your life and your friends are a problem, this is actually helpful for you because you can see who your true friends aren't. You might think you can't let them go, but yes, you can. In fact, you should, and it would help them too. If they are going down a bad path and want you to join, that's not good for either of you. You might wonder why people drink too much. If you like alcohol, that's an obvious question. People drink too much because it's fun. But why should you stop? You do foolish things when you drink. You hurt yourself and harm your health. It's tough on those around you. You often lie and it messes up your life. Yes, it can be fun, but it has a lot of bad sides. Yeah, that's true. But you need something better than that. Being perfect and not making mistakes isn't enough. That's just holding back in a way. What you really need is adventure, man. You have to get out there and find something to do. Yeah. Something that makes you excited to wake up. And that's what can replace the addiction. Actually, the addiction is just hiding that need, if we're being honest. You need to fear the right things. You should fear hurting your soul with lies. That's what you should worry about. That will definitely mess you up. And I know how. What happens is, you know, bad thoughts lead to bad actions. The old saying goes, and you'll fill your mind with junk and no one will point it out except you. But you can silence that voice if you really try. Just wait until you get into real trouble. One day, you will face a choice that could mean life or death, or even worse, it might affect someone else's life or death, or their health and suffering that is worse than death. Because you have put yourself in a tough spot, you can't. You get hungry, then thirsty, then you want to go to bed with your partner, then you want to sleep in, then you want to tell your boss off, and then you want to yell at the driver who cuts you off. It's like being a 2-year-old, with one feeling after another fighting for attention. There's no clear order and no leader in charge. We've talked about how skills can be organized in a pyramid, where the goal is to bring everything together. We know how this works in our brains. I'll show you some of that soon. We understand how this connects to the way your brain is built. You need to have something in charge, and that should be the part that pays attention and learns. Everything else should follow that part that learns and pays attention. What tips do you have for a young guy in his 20s? Make a plan. Think about what you like. Be consistent with something. Think about the idea that you have something important to give to the world, and that the world would be less without it. Don't be scared of taking on responsibility. It's where you find what helps you in life. You can take on too much responsibility, so be careful about that, but it's more common to not take on enough. Many things people see as traps are really what gives their life meaning. Young people often fear commitment, like in a romantic relationship, thinking it will get in the way of finding something more important. But that's not true. You won't find anything more valuable than a loving, committed relationship that lasts over time and likely leads to having children. That's what life is about. Some people might think it's better to avoid certain things, but those people are very few, and you need a good reason to think you are one of them. Hopefully you are not. I have had a great career in many ways, but the most important part of my life is my close relationship with my wife and family. So don't be scared of it, or be scared, but don't let it stop you from following your goals. If you want to be good at something, aim to be skilled. Do you want to be skilled and a bit risky, or do you want to be unclear and not helpful? Being able to express yourself clearly is a powerful skill. So, working on your speaking skills is a good thing. Every good thing has a downside. If you are outgoing, you like being around others and you are usually happy, but you can act without thinking. You might also enjoy pleasure too much and dislike being by yourself. No matter where you fit in, you will have your own problems and temptations. You have a goal, and as you work towards it, you'll find challenges that you might not want to deal with. This is why it's helpful to tidy up your space. A messy room makes you feel stressed. Why? There are too many choices. People don't really hide what they don't want to face. They just don't deal with it. You want a future full of new chances. We are made to climb hills, and when you get to the top, you want to stop and enjoy the view. But soon, you want to find an even taller hill in the distance. Be careful of what can happen. It's like thinking, oh no, this thing will only do what I want. But that's not true. What we truly want from each other is real, and that's also the journey of your life. If you are not honest, especially at first, it means facing your flaws with humility. This can be really hard. Without this honesty, you miss out on the adventure of your life. Instead, you just play a role that lacks meaning. It's important to find your place in the world. Have some goals, have a vision, and have a plan. Try to be a good person, not just out of duty, but because it's the right way to live. You sit on the bed and say, okay, I'm ready to learn something. What's one thing I know I'm doing wrong that I can fix? Think about that, and you'll find an answer. You grow as much as the challenges you take on willingly. We also don't know how much you can grow. People fear the truth because it can lead to problems right away. Telling the truth is definitely a journey. It's about looking for it and also sharing it. Another way to do this is to just say what you think and see what happens. That's a journey because you don't know what will happen next. So, there's an old idea that you need to believe in the truth. Here's a way to think about it. Someone asks you a question, and you might think, well, I want this outcome, so here's how I'll answer it. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is, you ask me something, I think about the answer, and I'll just share what I believe. It doesn't matter what happens because I'm open to seeing the result. I believe that no outcome is better than the one that comes from the truth. Even if it's tough and painful at first, and it often is, it's still the best way to handle it. You might wonder, how can you be sure? The truth is, I can't be sure. That's why I believe it. I truly think that being honest leads to good results. Even if it's hard and often makes us uncomfortable because we face problems. Lately, I've learned to express better that there is a strong link between what we want to achieve and the responsibilities we have. The first question could be, do you need to aim for something? The answer is yes, because you need to do something. If you just sit still, you won't grow. You can't just sit there. You have to take action in the world. So, act towards what? Well, that's whatever your goal is. You need to have a target. Okay, what should the target be? It should be something meaningful, let's say. Why do something you don't think is important? What do you think is important? If you look at others and decide if they are doing something good, you usually think well of them if they take care of themselves. But do you want to be useless so others have to care for you? That's pretty sad. Maybe you can get your life together so you can care for yourself and your family. And maybe you can even do more than that and help yourself, your family, and your community. That's great for you. That shows responsibility and a goal. One cool thing about this is that your life has no meaning without a goal or aim. You need a list of values. There should be something at the top that matters. Without that, life feels empty. If you attack the list of values or the idea of having one, you take away the idea of having goals, and then people are left with nothing. That's not good. People are made to face challenges and carry a load, and you should pick a big task on your own. See if you can build yourself up. Discover what you can do in life while you wait for the end. Make it all count. It should be worth it. It took me a long time to see that belief controls feelings. When you show your identity and beliefs in the world but don't get what you want, your body gets ready for action. This happens because you have strayed too far from safety, like being lost in the woods. So, what do you do then? The truth is, you don't know what to do. So, when you feel lost, you get ready to do everything. The problem is that this is really tiring for your body and mind, and it can hurt you. There is a lot of research showing the cost of this response. People stay where what they do brings them the results they want. That's part of why it's good to be around people who share your beliefs. It's really tough for us not to be where we believe our wishes will come true. We dislike that feeling. It makes sense that there are different levels of this. You can be in a place where you have no idea what will happen, or just a little bit unsure. But mostly, we are cautious beings. Even if we are open-minded, we can't handle too much uncertainty. You might wonder why that is. The answer is simple. You can get hurt, feel pain, be damaged, become very anxious, and even die. So it makes sense that you are sensitive or very sensitive to negative feelings. What do you want in your life? That's a tough question to answer. You will need to put in some work to shape your life. Set goals for yourself that really matter to you. You need to feel inspired to do that. If you are outgoing, you want friends. If you are kind, you want a close relationship. If you are tough, you want to win competitions. If you are open, you want to be creative. If you feel anxious, you want safety. So now you have something to focus on. Think, I feel driven because I have my goal. It's like you're not as driven as you could be because you don't yet have something to escape from. If you really want to feel driven, you need to be heading towards something and away from something else. You must have a goal. If not, life feels empty. So, what should you focus on? Just choose something. Focus on it. As you get closer, you'll learn more. This is where having a schedule helps a lot. Use something like Google Calendar. Just make a schedule and stick to it. So, what's the rule about the schedule? It's not a prison. A mistake people make is thinking they must follow a strict plan. They say, I don't like a schedule. But what kind of schedule are you making? If it's all about things you have to do, then it's no fun, and you might just want to play video games instead. That's the wrong way to do it. Create a schedule that helps you have the day you want. That's the idea. It's like, okay, I have tomorrow. If I wanted to plan it for the best day possible, what would it look like? So you make a schedule, and of course, you have some responsibility because if you think about it, you want to make sure that by the end of the day, you are not worse off than you were at the start, right? Because that would be a bad day, and if you keep having those, you just make things worse for yourself. So, that's not a smart way to go. Now you have your goal and you're trying to get through a place you don't know. Here are your choices: no map, a not-so-great map that has some useful info, or a really good map. You really want the best map, but even a basic map is better than no map at all. As you explore, your map helps you add more details. Imagine you set a goal and learn some skills on the way. If you reach a point and realize it's not for you, that's okay. You still have the skills you gained and know why it didn't fit. You can use that knowledge for your next goal. As you plan, you get better at it, which is really important. So, we tell people to take their positive vision and turn it into 8 clear goals. Then, rank them by importance, and break them down into smaller steps so you have a good chance of succeeding in a certain time. That's also important. You need to think about it in terms of time. That's right. When you're focused, you're learning skills in a way that feels good because you're doing well. So, if you care about yourself, you should set a goal that someone who feels worthless like you can reach if they try a bit. Then you've got it right because it's not too high to make you fail and blame yourself. If you aim too high and don't reach it, you might think, I won't set any more goals. But that's not the way to go. You set a goal that was too big, and you tricked yourself because you wanted to fail to avoid trying, which won't help you. You'll still feel stuck. There's no easy way out of that, man. Life is a challenge that, in some ways, can't be fully overcome. You can't escape your problem. But there are good ways to handle it. Next, you need reasons for your choices because you will have doubts, and others will challenge you. Why is it good for you? Why is it good for your family if you reach that goal? Why is it good for the wider community? If it's a good goal, it should help you. That's okay. But if it's a really great goal, it should also help others. Everyone wins. Yes, that's right. And when you choose your goals, why not pick ones that help the most people at once? Yes. If you can do that, start with your own needs because you must take care of yourself first. Basic needs come first. Yes. Put on your own oxygen mask, then help your child with theirs. Yeah, exactly. As you gain skills locally, you may get good enough to reach out more. This also makes your goal feel important. If someone questions you and says it seems silly, you can explain that it helps you and your family, and why that matters. You can also show how it helps the larger community. People who doubt you won't know how to answer that kind of reply. When you have those doubts yourself and ask, why am I doing this? Oh yes, it's because I need to take care of myself. If I don't, I feel sad, worthless, angry, and mean, and I end up in a bad place, which isn't good. So, I think about how this can help my family and how it can help the community, and those are good enough reasons unless I find better ones. If I don't find better ones, that's fine. When something unknown comes up, you often feel anxious. Then there's the known, and I define it very clearly. The known is where you are when what you do gives you the results you want. I say want because it brings in motivation and feel, so you feel driven to chase something. You go after it, and what you want happens. Not only do you get what you want, but you also get approval for how you see things and act. If you look into the dark long enough, you'll see the light, not the dark. I'm betting my life on that. Bring it on, the journey ahead. I would say that's where the adventure is. You don't want someone else's story. Your own story is enough, and your journey is enough. It's a lot. It's more than you can ever fully see. That's why we believe that every person has some real worth. Don't think your spot in life is so unimportant. It might be your view that's unimportant. If you're in tough times, just think about how much you can do to make things better. Maybe life is the same way, right? You connect with it. The more you connect with it, the more you learn what it is. That's a strong acceptance. We are made to climb. And when you get to the top of the hill, you want to pause and enjoy the view. But what you really want is a taller hill far away because it's the hard climb that gives us worth. Most of the good feelings we have, especially the ones that make us excited, come from working toward a goal. So in a way, you need a goal that you can't fully reach. Nothing makes you stronger than being good with words, being able to express yourself, think clearly, and organize your ideas, right? Pick a path to follow, and if you find it's wrong halfway through, how do you know if you should keep going or just quit? That's a tough question. It's a tricky choice, but the bottom line is you need to pick one path. You should learn to master at least one of them, and that's not just a choice. I believe this is true. So you need to commit to something. When you commit, you must get all parts of yourself working together in one direction. This is a way to unite yourself. You mentioned that a harmless man isn't a good man. A good man is someone who can be dangerous but has that power under control. How can people become more dangerous? I would say that being able to express yourself clearly is the main way to do that. Physical strength is important, but it's not everything. There is also a kind of confidence that comes with it. However, the same idea applies to how well we can talk and think. This opens up many more chances in life. With so many choices around us, it can be tough to know what to do with our lives. Petersons says a good way to figure it out is to look at what bothers you or what is hard for you. These problems can show where you should spend your time and effort. By facing what is tough or uncomfortable, you can find your strengths and get a clearer path in life. Be honest about what you like, what you can do, and what you struggle with, and follow the path that matches your values and interests. There are many things that can bother you. There are a million options, but some really get to you. They annoy you. And they could make you feel angry and upset. Because they annoy you a lot. Like they're your stuff, you know? They've got you. So then, I search for a question that I want to know the answer to. I would really want that answer. So I don't think I already know it. Because I would truly like to have the answer. If I could get a better answer, that would be great. That's the first thing. It's like a prayer. It's saying, here's a mystery, and I want to learn more about it. This shows humility because it means I don't know everything. I want to explore more, which means I still have questions. Then comes the answer. What's the answer? If you ask yourself a real question, do you get an answer? Well, thoughts start coming into your mind. Where do they come from? It depends on what you want. If your goal is to improve things, maybe they come from a good place. But if your goal is to make things worse, then that's different. They come from hell. Jordan Peterson strongly believes in the need to set goals in life and face the challenges that come with achieving them. He points out that while it is okay to change your path in life, you should not make things easier for yourself. Instead, he encourages you to keep pushing yourself and aim for bigger goals. He stresses that setting goals is a key way to grow and improve, and he wants people to welcome the tough times that come with chasing their dreams. It's not right to stick to a path you know. Plus, it will only be enjoyable for a short time. After a while, you'll feel lost, sad, and without direction. That's not the path you want. You need to seek a future full of possibilities. This happens to some people because they focus too much on reaching a specific goal. Think about your time. As a university student, it's worth at least minimum wage. But really, it's worth much more, because if you use an hour wisely when you're young, you'll benefit from that hour for the rest of your life. So, time spent in your youth has lasting value. I say, let's say your time is worth $50 an hour, which I think is too low, but okay. So let's use 50. We can say it's 25, but let's stick with 50. That means you're wasting 2,000 each week. That's 100,000 each year. Think about how much better your life would be if you weren't wasting 100,000 a year. The Da Vinci Code. Everyone loved that. It sold a lot. It was full of small secrets and clues that there was more to the world than you think, and that is really true. There is a way to learn that knowledge, and it would be very valuable. People like this idea because it is true. Some have traced stories back more than 10,000 years, making them part of an oral tradition. Oral traditions can last for thousands of years. A story told for 10,000 years is a unique story. It's as if people have remembered it and changed it over time, like the game of telephone. I tell you something, and you whisper it to the next person, and so on. It's like a game of telephone that has lasted for many generations. All that remains is what people remember. They might remember what matters because you usually remember what is important. You might not really get what it means. You don't know what music means. But that doesn't stop you from enjoying it. You often don't know what a movie or book means, especially if it's deep. It has more meaning than you can grasp, because if it didn't, then why read it? Learn to write. I'm serious about that. Writing is thinking made clear. First, you need a problem, because why write if you don't have one? This is good advice if you're writing an essay for school. Pick a problem you want to write about, or it's wrong from the start. It's up to you to engage with the topic until you find something that interests you and that you want to explore. So, you need a problem first. Next, you have to have something to say about that problem. So, read? Reading is really great for that. Read as much as you can. Your hands-on work helps with the problem. Okay, now you know a lot of things, or at least you can access them. Now you start sorting through it. It's like, well, maybe I need to summarize what I've learned. Then I need to clear up the contradictions between what I found. I need to express that well, and I need to choose the right words, phrases, and sentences. I have to arrange the sentences into good paragraphs and the paragraphs in a good order so I have a clear argument. At the same time, you are mixing in your own style at a high level of organization, sharpening your skills, and getting yourself in order because you're learning to think. You learn to do that by writing. For many years, you sharpen your skills with words. They are the most important part of you, without a doubt. If you can write, speak, and communicate well, you have all the power and skill you need. So you're in university. Maybe you're studying a humanities degree. What's the point of a humanities degree? It's to help you learn how to think. You learn to think by writing. There's more to learn, like reading and speaking, but the best thing you can do is read and write every day for a few hours. Write about what matters to you and try to find out what you believe is true. This builds a strong base for you. It's very useful because if you look at people who are very successful, there are many reasons for that. But one is that they are very good at expressing their goals, planning, negotiating, and inspiring others with their vision. So, get your words sorted out. That makes you powerful. And that's really the heart of the humanities, that idea. Put your thoughts together. Make yourself a clear speaker. And then you're strong in the best way. So, take that seriously. The best thing you can do is help people learn to write. Because there's no difference between writing and thinking. One thing that surprises me about universities is that no one tells students why they should write. It's like, you have to do this task. Well, why are you writing? Well, you need a good grade. It's like, no, you need to learn to think because thinking helps you act well in the world. Thinking helps you win the fights you face. And those could be fights for good things. If you can think and talk and write, nothing can stop you. So that's why you learn to write. I can't believe people aren't just told that. It's like, it's the strongest tool you can give someone. And I know many people who have done really well and I've seen them grow. Those people, you don't want to argue with. They will tear you apart. Not in a mean way. It's like, if you want to share your views and they want to share theirs, you better have your ideas ready, because if you don't, you will look foolish. You won't get anywhere. If you can explain your ideas clearly and give a good presentation, if you can talk to people, and if you can share a plan, then people will give you money, chances, and power. That's what you go to university for. So, it's important to learn English and communicate well. Teaching people to express themselves clearly is very valuable, and that can be inspiring. If people understand why writing matters, they see it as a tool that helps them succeed. You students might sometimes feel like you need to give your teachers what they want and change your words to fit what you think they like. First, only a few professors are wrong enough to give you a bad grade for writing a good essay they don't like. That is wrong, but it doesn't happen much. More importantly, it's very wrong to do that. You're here to learn and discover your true voice. Every time you go against that for easy reasons, you hurt yourself. And not in a small way. When you shape your ideas, that becomes a lasting part of who you are. You take that with you. It becomes a part of how you see the world and helps you act, so you keep your words clean and work hard to be as clear and expressive as you can. There's nothing more useful and great than that. If you leave here able to speak, think, and write well, you are on your way to the top, and hopefully, it will be good for everyone.